Okay, we're going to go over a lesson on how to access your literary notebook or your literacy notebook. Go to classwork if you're in my class or any other class that has it digitally. You look for the link that says literacy notebook. You should have already downloaded and made a copy. And if you did, then you should be able to simply view the assignment, and then there should be a plus or it should be a sign over there that says submit or unsubmit. If not, then you need to go to the waffles over here. If I click there, you have a drive. You can go into the drive and find it, or you can go to where you see slides. If you click on the slides, you should be able to access your notebook from here. So when I go, here's my notebook. I'm going to open it up. When I open it up, you're going to notice that it has a series of tabs on the side and that it's made up of different sections, just like it would be in a paperback format if you were in the building. Okay. On this, you can put your name like I've done. So you simply click on that blank and do that. I'm going to just show you by simply clicking here and show you how to do that here. And see, it creates a text box. So I know I want to write my school right in this space. So I would type it in, and I want to make the type a little bigger. So I'll simply click there and that'll make it bigger. And I can type in PES, which stands for Pineville Elementary School. Sorry. Okay, and you'll see it typed right there. And I can move it and change it out if I need to. I'm just going to put it right there for right now, and I can fix it later. Okay, you have the different sections of your literacy notebook that you need to be aware of. For example, this section is your genre reference page. You might have to increase the size here to see what it looks like, and you can simply do that by going here. And if I want to see it a little bit bigger, I can click there, and that's going to change the size. And I can see what each genre code stands for. That's going to be important in what I need to do with my notebook. Then I'm going to click here, and that's going to tell me my goal setting across the 9 weeks. So I've got to set a goal for each part of how many of the different types of books I'm going to read for the 9 weeks. And then I've got to have a total goal down here. And then I want to go into this section. This section is where I'm going to keep track of my books that I read. If you watched the previous video about your actual rubric, it tells you have to have 13 books read for the 9 weeks. So that could be 13 or more. So when I'm looking here, I'm already at 9. And what I'm making sure I do is I make sure that I put the title of the books over here, or the articles, because it can be a ReadWorks article, it could be a News ELA article, it could be any book from Brain Hive to a book you've read in class, from a book on Epic or Storia, whichever one of those books you read, you want to make sure you write it down over here or type it. Then you want to make sure you tell where it came from. Like this one, The Grasshopper and the Ant, we read that last week. So I have it listed right here. We read the article and we even read a book. So I could have both of them listed if I wanted to. And then I want to make sure I include the genre code, which is, in this case, this book was a fable. So we know that that's our traditional literature. So we put TL here. Then we make sure we put the date that we actually completed reading it. And if you're using Epic, it'll give you a date that you completed reading it. Storia probably will give you a date as well. brain hive you should be recording when you've read the text. Okay, we want to have a one-word response. So how did you feel about it when you read it? And as you can see, I still have books I need to go back and put that information in. But this is where you would make your list. You would type them there. Make sure now if you need to add, you'll simply just go up to the section where it has a plus sign for adding another slide and just simply add. And I'll show you where that is. That's this little box right here. You click there and it will add another one there. Okay. The next important part, now this is where you would put any suggested text. You'd put that there. But the most important part that you need to make sure you're doing is writing the letters. And here is where you would actually do that here. You'd write your letters here. I'm going to change the size of my screen again so you can see. The question is, how do you get the dates and stuff in there? Well, let's go back. Would you do a text box just like I've shown you before? Put it here. You can do a text box here, or you can simply double click in here and you should be able to type. Now you will notice that the title of my book is underlined. So I want to make sure I do that. And then I'm going to have my author's name here. Then I'm going to write about what was interesting about the book, why it was interesting. And I've also included text from the book, what I inferred from reading the book and what the author actually stated about what I inferred. Now I've got 2 inferences here, but remember you have to have 3. So each book that you read, you don't have to do each, but you want to make sure that each week you are completing a letter on a book that you've read. And you want to make sure that you stick with what the rubric is for that 9 weeks. So this 9 weeks, we're doing inferencing and quoting text using text evidence. So we want to make sure that we have 4 letters. If you haven't even started your first letter, try to get your first letter and your second letter done by this week. Because at this point we're supposed to have 4, so we might be a little bit behind, but we need to make sure we're working on it. But this is how you would use your literacy notebook to type in your letters. And remember, if you have to, you add pages as you go along. This section is the Reader's Response tab, and it tells you how many letters you must have. So you'll put those in those sections. Okay, right in that section. And I think I've got an example of how to do that. So that's what you want to do for your literacy notebook. Keep track of what you're reading. Make sure you're doing your letters just as if you were in the regular classroom. You can also use graphic organizers if you like, or a feedback response, or a constructed response, or you can even write an essay in these sections where you're supposed to. Okay, hopefully that helps. This is where you would write your letters. The other section, I'm sorry, is probably where you would put any kind of concept map that you're using in the other tab. So I'm just simply going to move that to where it needs to be. Okay. Now, hopefully that answers any questions about what to do with the literacy notebook. If you have more, check with your teacher, and I'm sure they will be happy to provide an explanation. Okay, that should do it.